Abstract Transmissions.
Hello, thank you for listening to Abstract Transmissions. Today we have the one and only Lahna Turner. She's a comedian and a musician. Thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Hey, thank you. Thank you for having me.
I really can't thank you enough for being super understanding with the delay and stuff. I apologize. I had to do a little bit of I was a little late to the podcast today, as most of the viewers know.
Well, you have a
home
lot
all the time.
going on that I can totally empathize with. I mean, I
Yeah.
got to know a little bit about you through figuring out when we were going to do this, and I tip my hat, man. You got a lot.
Well, I appreciate it. I think anytime, when you're when you don't have the other parent in the picture, it's hard, and I know you can relate to that somewhat. But I try really hard to make the balance of, like, if passion projects like doing the podcast or music, I'm sure you're familiar, creative type, making time for that's so important for your own mental health, because it spills over onto your kids, right? Like, if you're not doing everything you need for yourself, it comes out, and you're not, it's like the oxygen mask analogy. You have to put on the oxygen mask first before you can put your kids' oxygen mask on, paraphrasing.
Yeah, I mean, I actually can't put my mask on first. I always put their mask on first. And because I just, it's so much work. It is so hard, right?
It is.
But they say that on the airplane, and I'm like, yeah, in practice, that's a great thing, but I don't think I would have in that moment, I would be like, put this mask on you.
But it's the same thing with parenting, right? Because your automatic default is to take care of them, and
everything else, I mean, they take over every aspect of life, right? So
absolutely.
yeah. And then as a single parent, I mean, it's really hard because now you're not only the sole provider for their every aspect of their life, but you also are responsible for their financial parts, which I'm sure, I mean, it's just a lot better when you have somebody else, because it really takes a village. Like, we're not supposed to be raising kids in these like individual houses by ourselves. We're supposed to have grandparents and aunts and uncles, or like a whole village of people around us. Like,
totally agree.
This is not a natural way to raise kids. I don't think.
I think that you're right. I mean, I think that it's the evolution of technology and introduction to technology to our everyday lives. I think on like a wide scale, and I don't mean just like tablets and stuff now, but like I actually I struggle with ADHD, and have my entire life, like to the extreme point where I'm late for almost everything. My organization is garbage. I try really hard to work around those things and try to rely on mostly myself and not medication. But when you have a kid and they're struggling, you can see how hard it is on them. And then the effect that medication has, at least for my son, I've seen like how effective that is. But you hear the
is your son also ADHD?
He is, yeah. Sorry,
okay.
Explain that.
So
too.
you're both I'm
ADHD.
ADHD as well, and my son also has, like, it's definitely, I look at it like it's a bit of a superpower, because
I was just gonna say that.
Yeah, it's a gift, but it is hard to get through things sometimes, or keep organized.
Seriously.
But you found the medication is helpful?
I've got I hate the medication, other than the fact that it helps me focus. Like, I hate that feeling of like, it's a fucking amphetamine, right? Like, I feel like I have to keep going until everything is done. And that is just like a manic feeling that I can't stand. But I do like the aspect that I can organize my thoughts. Like, when I'm bringing a bunch of trash like I'm cleaning up the house and bringing trash to the other end of the house, something as small as maybe I should grab the plates and glasses on my way so it's more efficient. So I'm not making 5 or 6 trips. And I mean, I walk with a cane kind of now too, because I've got some ankle issues. And so that extra trip back and forth through slim 980 square foot trailer can be challenging. But but yeah, the ADHD piece, I think, like you said, superpower. It is super, super amazing in certain aspects when it comes to creativity, being, funny and get along with people in the room, being able to diffuse things with humor, um, being able to just pull something random and adapt. Like I've never really had a plan for anything, even like my wife hated this too because I was very chaotic and very much like everything's just going to work out, and it usually does. But you got a plan and stuff too, so it's a tough balance. I guess where I was going, and I kind of went on a tangent and talked over you. I didn't mean to do that. Was the what you were saying about kids not really being meant to be raised in this type of environment. I think overall, all of us we sociologically evolved faster than our bodies evolved to adapt to the changes. So like we were hunter and gatherers and now we're sitting in cubicles, and what do you know, like we can't sit still, and like we're having a hard time adapting. Some of us, not all of us, we have different personality types. um, but I hear that there's that argument that this guy, a doctor, made that that ADHD isn't a behavioral issue or a chemical imbalance. It's just that's the way human beings were for a long time, and now we're adapting to computers and lifestyles. And not to discount ADHD, it definitely is a real thing. But I think more so because we're trying to adapt to what society thinks we should do.
And there's a big difference now than when I went to school, because I mean, my kid, like, he's got the IEP where they test him and see where he
Same.
falls into things, which they didn't call it an IEP, and he went to they had a name, for the room, like a politically
Right.
correct. I mean, I went to the dummy room when I was
Yeah,
a kid, like
mine
literally
was
the
called
dummy
the,
room.
oh my god, the crisis room, and then the intervention room was another one, and then I
Yeah.
had the crazy room. That was the one that I hated because it's
Oh,
like the crazy room, and it was meant not to be like we're crazy, but like you can go in there and be crazy if you need to be, go wild. And like they
oh,
should have
that's
called
kind
it
of
the
cool.
wild chaotic room, which like I know the way they meant it, but everybody else, when you're in that grade, it's like, oh, he's crazy, he's going to the crazy room, and it's like,
Yeah.
no, I just
I
can't
don't mind going
manage
to
my
the crazy
impulses.
room. I would have rather gone to the crazy room than the dummy room. But like now, my kid, he just like he's getting tested as gifted. So nowadays you can have, because I always felt like I was stuck in remedial classes in high school. Oh my God. I mean, I was so
Yeah,
bored because while there's like the discrepancy between your like what you're able to do and like kind of the form they want you to fit into this
yeah.
to the school system structure. So like I I don't know, I just ended up always stuck in these classes, so bored. And then my kid, I'm watching him and he's like, oh, he's going to be in the gifted classes with an IEP that gives the additional like learning support. So I just think it's come a long way since when we were kids.
You really
Um,
hit the nail on the head, like it really has.
People are understanding that we're not all the same. Like you said, we're not all designed to sit in a cubicle. In fact, no one is designed to sit in a cubicle, but some people's abilities, just can't. You're just too creative, or like you said, too crazy,
Yeah,
which is good. I'd
right.
rather be crazy.
Me
But
too.
I mean, but my sister, she's an accountant and she works really well within the that system. And we're just two different kids from the
I was
same.
gonna say kudos to her. I could never do that.
But we're different,
Yeah,
like I wouldn't want to change. Like I said, it's my superpower. Like I wouldn't. I have a pretty fun life, and and she has a fun life. I'm not saying she doesn't, but like
sure.
it's super cool to be in a creative world. And I mean, you figure it out, right? You figure out where you
Right.
belong. And so, but yeah, through school, that can be really hard because they're just like forcing, well, were anyways, forcing you to try and be in this like conventional box that didn't work.
Right. And
So,
it really didn't work, right? Because I mean,
no.
people, I guess like I feel like I'm just on the cusp of Gen X millennial because like I was born in '84, but I still remember what it was like to use floppy disk computers. And like I grew up on the Apple II, growing up. Like those were the computers I used. I didn't have an actual computer in my household until I was like 15 or 16. It was like a Gateway,
Mhm.
1999, 98 or whatever. and then eventually it was through Rent a Center. Like my parents had it for like a month and a half, and then like it got viruses because of all the downloaded music. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, my dad bought like a Commodore 64. I mean, like, this is going back. Like,
Oh my
yeah.
God, Commodore 64. Holy crap. That
Yeah.
is nuts. It's like the Tandy, the old Radio Shack computers too, right around
Yeah.
that time. That's what it
I
reminds me
was
of.
I was in Florida and there was a Radio Shack, like a real radio. I was like, "Oh my gosh." And
Like
I walked
up
in
and
and
running.
yeah, like is still in business. And I was like, "What are you doing here?" Like it was awesome. It was
Did I
awesome.
walk back in time? You slipped through a like a void
Mhm.
in space time, and you're
Yeah, it
just
was
like,
like a
wait a
portal
minute.
to the past.
Or an alternate universe in which Radio Stack still exists.
Yeah,
But
maybe that is like a parallel, like in order, it's a, like if there is a Radio Shack, you need to go there because it's like a wormhole to another dimension.
seriously, you would be
Yeah.
not surprised at how many customers were actually like that when I worked at Radio Shack.
Oh, you
That
worked at
was a
Radio Shack?
I did. That
Oh,
was
that's
like funny
great.
story how we kind of circled onto that. Yeah, I mean, it was, but it wasn't, right? It was like you get paid $7 an hour to have to know literally everything ever.
Yeah,
And
but it's such a
oops,
great building block for like for knowing everything later on when it matters.
yeah, no, it
Yeah.
definitely was. I learned so much nerdy tech stuff that I didn't think I would actually like doing. But it did. It fed that need. I've always had to adapt to jobs that one would accommodate how terrible I am with time management, which none
I
of
was gonna
them
say that
did
you
ever.
can't be like
Uh,
that bad with like organizing and doing like if you're working in a cluttered store full of all types of equipment, answering questions from customers that are coming in with every possible different scenario, that doesn't seem like that. I mean, that's pretty awesome that you were able to do that. Like,
it
so.
was like right on the brink of being able to do that. So it's like you're right. I mean, because it's like if you can manage that type of organization, a lot of times, then you can start to manage, basic things like household tasks and lists and stuff, which is unfortunately still a challenge for me across the
Well, you
board.
probably have a lot more going on in those areas too, because I mean, grief is a complicated thing that you
Yes,
mix into that other stuff, and your brain is processing constantly. I don't know how long it's been for you, but like, I mean, if you're grieving, man, that takes up a lot of your brain space.
it
And you're
it
kind of
does it.
always grieving, but
Right. I don't think it ever really goes away,
it's
especially if
easier.
you
But
don't deal with it.
oh, yeah, then it's really like haunting you. But I don't know, how many years has it been for you?
2 years since Caleb
Oh.
passed. It was in 2019, and you're right. Like if when you're grieving, it just kind of stays with you. But especially like if you didn't grieve properly before, like I had a lot of death, unfortunately, in my life, and it's just like things like my mom and my dad, and I didn't deal with, I think, mourning them properly, and then you let it kind of build up, and then something is the straw that breaks the camel's back. And I mean, to be fair, like on top of losing Caleb, I lost my best friend and guitarist like 2 weeks before.
Oh God.
So it was like, you know, sorry, I didn't definitely didn't want to go
No, I mean it's
into talking
important
about
to
this
talk.
stuff.
That's I actually don't think anyone should ever apologize for talking about their grief. Like, in fact, you're on the East Coast, but there's a place in Los Angeles. It's called Our House, and I always want everyone to hear this because there's like grief support groups, and that is one that I attended with my kids. And they're wonderful, and they have them. They probably have something like that nearby you too, but it's really helpful. And it's funny how like people are like, oh, we can't talk about death, that's sad, but then like other cultures, we're coming up on Day of the Dead, like
Mm-hmm. And they,
death
they
is
they embrace it,
celebrated and
right?
embraced. Yeah, it's a completely different um attitude about death, but I mean it's inevitable, right? It's like,
Right.
but why can't we talk about it? Why can't we be,
It's
you
interesting you
know
said that. I just made a connection that maybe it's our connection to possessions and like the need to like. I feel like this is big in and maybe I'm wrong. Very layman's understanding about Buddhism, but from what I understand, it's like it's very much about being happy what you have and letting go of a lot of things, possessions. I think a lot of religions in general, if you get down to it, it's about letting go of worldly possessions and the fact that you can't control things. You can't control death. You can't, you have to let, if people leave, you let them go. And, if it's meant to be, it comes back to you, so on and so forth. But when someone dies, I think our attachment to them is because we're attached to the physical aspect, and we're so like used to, you know, having physical items and belongings, and like thinking that a car is going to make us happy, that the permanence of objects and things and matter, the physical matter versus beyond that, if you believe that. I think that culturally is different, is that like they're very open to the idea that there's an afterlife, and that
Oh,
it's
yeah.
it's
I
not
mean, I was
even
gonna
it's not
say,
even a
yeah.
thought, that they just assume that it is.
I
um
mean, I always wish that I had more of a ability to to accept that sort of like higher power,
yeah,
because I have a hard time with
same.
that. I really want it because I
Same.
really think it's helpful. Like I love that I have friends that are very religious and they're very at peace with certain things, and knowing that, if we do live a good life, you'll be reunited with those people after you pass. And like that's a beautiful concept. And I wish I could just blindly accept that. And I have a hard time with it. But I
Same.
do think that that's a awesome way to live your life, because it really does. I think it helps get through those times. But I
And
don't
and
I
the
don't
lack of it.
subscribe to anything. So
Yeah,
it's
no,
just kind of
no,
like, ah,
we're very much in the same boat there.
yeah.
It's tough because I've always been like, I was always a little bit more spiritual than my wife was. She was very, very atheist. um but then when she passed away, a lot of really weird like phenomena, I would say, almost in a way that it really broke a lot of my hardcore skepticism, which I'm very much science nerd. Like I've always been on board with everything science. Like anything that I find interesting is something I guess I just bind myself to, and things like astronomy and physics and stuff like that. It's always been an interest to me, but I could never get past that. Like what I can't measure is outside of my understanding, and I accept that there could be other things, but I'm not going to assume what it is until I can, you know, order of operations like go through the whole process of the scientific method and all that. But I think that there's way more than that we can't measure, that
So
I'm just now kind of.
you had like a bunch of things happen after she passed that you couldn't explain.
Yeah, yeah, fucking like unbelievable. Like we were struggling with some things financially, and like the day after she passed, like this was leading up before she passed. And something like we were all super stressed out about. And I mean, there's a lot of depth to it, but she passed away. And then like a day later, everything, like in a weird way, that like everything fell into place. Like I got the calls like when we needed like assistance, or I was trying to get a loan, and there was a bunch of things, and it happened successfully. Like I put the phone down and I got another call and I put the phone down and another one. Like it was unrealistic, and of course it could be coincidence and circumstance, but you get this weird gut, like uncomfortable. It made me uncomfortable, which
Like
shouldn't,
she was
obviously.
handling it from like somehow for
Yeah,
you. She's like, I've got this. I'm gonna go
right.
tap these people and make sure they make that call today.
Yeah. and
Interesting.
and and not even so much that, but like like we're wrong and I was wrong. There is something after death. It's not, there's no explanation as to what it is. Just like there definitely is something. And I don't know, maybe we just turn to energy and we go back to the source and we take all the experiences we had and it goes back to the hive mind, or who knows. um but I got this like, just it was like a punch to what I thought I understood, I guess. And I guess it's things like that. it could be related to PTSD and all that as well. But I think, especially recently, like we were talking briefly about the UFO thing before, with the advancements of those details, my understanding of what I think to be accurate and true is changing for sure. And not just because I trust the government. Like, I almost wonder, like, what is their angle? Why are they releasing all this information about UFOs? Like, what's their, look over here while we, stick our thumbs up your ass. Like, they've got the sleight of hand thing down tight. And I just can only imagine that there's some sort of, thing behind there. But that's just, I guess, my lack of trust in the people who gaslighted us for 60 years about UFOs existence. Like, why should we trust them? They literally admitted to lying to us for almost 70 years. So now it's just like, yeah, but you should trust us about this.
Yeah, right. That's funny. Yeah, that's so funny. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I love all that stuff though. It's super fun. So I guess now they're like, okay, everyone has an iPhone. Everybody's photographing the same things we've been trying to keep under wraps. So we're just gonna let them know, okay, because
Yeah,
otherwise everyone would be crazy because so many people have seen something. But I mean, like,
should
there's
be.
tons of things flying in the air that the government is putting out. Like,
Right.
I did a show one time. There's a little island off the coast of Catalina, like out towards Catalina,
Mm-hmm.
um, which is a military base. And we after the show, some of the guys were drunk and they were driving us around. They have a landing strip that's big enough to land a space shuttle on out there,
Oh,
and they
wow.
also have some of those drones that are unmanned that can fly and like kill you from the sky.
Mm-hmm.
So I probably shouldn't say it
Just
because you
like
just
looking outside, like,
she just gave it away. Um, and then they do a lot of missiles testing right off the coast of California. So I
oh,
mean, you
wow.
see an unidentified flying object, they might just be testing something
Right.
close enough that we see it. Every now and then there will be reports of things that are going on out there, and they'll be like, "Is North Korea attacking?" No, we're just testing.
Right.
So it's like there's things up in the sky that are that we don't know what they are. They're just super advanced things
Right.
that our government is working on. It's kind of
Yeah, no,
cool.
I definitely think that there's definitely, some of that. But what is mind blowing, and this is how I ended up here, is like the stuff that they're saying, and I mean they're right, physics
Mhm.
wise, like for them to opt to move at those
Oh
G
yeah, yeah,
forces
yeah.
is just
It's
crazy.
crazy. Yeah, we don't have the ability, or they'll like spot will be here, and then all of a sudden it'll be there, and then it'll
Yeah.
fall through the. Yeah, yeah. I've seen all those videos and heard all the conversation, and it's almost like they go in and out of like time and space
Right.
sometimes, and
Like they're
yeah,
phase
or there'll be a
shifting.
collection of them, and yeah, and they don't know what they are. But again, like so many people are recording them with their phones. I guess the government,
Right.
like the powers that
They've
be, are
got
like,
to.
okay, we can't keep calling everybody a lunatic. You're
Hmm.
seeing something, so.
Well, and I mean,
But
how much is that is the United States having the narrative versus everybody else who have been kind of open to their. I mean, if you go to other countries, it sounds like a lot of people are just like, yeah, we accept that UFOs exist and our government's pretty open with us about it. You guys are like sheltered and hidden from a
is that
lot
the
of it.
case, really? What
This
country?
is what I'm finding this out now, so I don't know how much it is the
Oh,
case and how much is this just people online. uh but yeah, what I seem to pick up, like just on YouTube alone, is most of the skeptical perspectives are coming out of the United States, and a lot of the other, like, people from other countries are like, yeah, this is just like common knowledge, and we don't know what it is, but our government's been dealing with this for a long time. And everybody has, I guess, since as long as we've been flying things in the air, which is really hard for me to wrap my head around. But if you start connecting all the dots, almost all of them connect. Even the Bigelow Aerospace thing, which I really thought was fiction. I mean, I grew up listening about Skinwalker Ranch and all that stuff, and just like, ooh, scary. But when the former guy running the Pentagon program on that says that, yeah, it exists, there's an anomaly down there, and there may be things that go bump in the night. And I'm just like, I don't like that. I don't like any of that. Like, even if it's just garbage and it's a lie and it's misinformation, like why that seems so extreme. Um, especially when it comes to religion and stuff. A lot of those guys think it might have to do with demons and stuff. And it's just like, it becomes harder and harder for me to keep that tinfoil hat on.
I don't know. I don't know that the details on the one you're talking about, but I mean, I think it's awesome that we live in a world that we don't know everything. We don't know anything,
Yeah.
really. We're like no different than like I'll walk past a spider and I'm like, does he know I'm here? Because he probably senses I'm here, but he doesn't know. Like I'm probably really big for him to like comprehend, like that I'm standing here over him.
Right.
So you know what I mean? Like I'm sure there's things that are way like obviously there are things that are way bigger because we already understand we're really tiny. So there's
Yeah.
got to be all sorts of things that we just will, and
That's
we'll
actually
never get it.
that's a really good
So,
perspective. Like, because the perspective for us versus assuming a tree has a perspective, but if they did, our perspective would be very different, only because they live for a very, very long period of time. What seems like a couple of years to us is like hours to them, or whatever it is. The time dilation would vary. I wonder if it's the same way for you know other creatures like you said, in comparison to us. Do they even perceive us the
I don't
same
know. I mean,
way?
like you see like a little gnat flying around. They live for like, 24 hours and
Right.
like it's not aware of me, but it's got a little life and it's
Hmm.
also 24 hours to it is a lifetime. So maybe 100 years is a lifetime to me, which is really not that different than the gnat. And it's flying around. It doesn't really see me. So there's got to be things around me that I don't see. I don't know. I've always kind of felt that
Yeah,
way.
no, that makes a lot of sense. And I mean, the more we learn about like quantum physics and stuff like that, the more it just points to that. Which is the other thing I find to be really interesting about the UFO thing, is the more like you dig in, it is one of those things. It's a rabbit hole. So if you find yourself start digging in, especially recently, man, between all the data points on uploads on YouTube to the Bob Lazar thing and the cesium, like it's really weird how a lot of them all connect, and they're just now coming to light as potentially a reality. Anyway, yeah, 2021, what a interesting time to be alive.
Yeah. Didn't,
Seriously, it seems like
interesting.
everything's kind of converging. There's a whole lot of stuff going on.
There always is, except when you're sitting at home waiting for COVID.
Right.
But now we're back out. It's yeah, no, you're right. There is a well, there's a lot more going on. And we also have a lot more information at our fingertips.
It's true.
So maybe
All of
I
it
don't know.
right there in front of us at all times.
Yeah, too
We're
much.
we're looking up whether cats can eat pancakes or not.
Yeah.
Um, I think that the the changes that we're going through, though, like have kind of sped up a little bit. Like they're like, whether it's
Oh, yeah.
automation and like even just cell phones, and how fast they're making cell phones
Yeah.
now,
The heating
and
up
just
of our planet. Like
yeah,
what?
that
Yeah, that
too.
sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
um yeah, that sucks. Like, but you're right. It's like, what are we gonna do about it? At this point, we've already surpassed the we can do something about it
I
point.
try to
We're
use a
past
lot
that.
less plastic. That's it.
Yeah,
And I
same.
try. I really do. I really try to recycle, like, or not you buy it in the first place. It's freaking impossible
It's
though to go to the
impossible.
store. Like, I try really hard, and you have to spend a lot more money, and you can't hardly like find anything that isn't wrapped in plastic. And it's like,
You
ugh.
guys, you guys don't even have plastic grocery bags in California
No,
anymore.
yeah, you got to bring cloth ones. Yeah,
Hmm.
where do you live?
New
Where are you in
Hampshire.
the country?
New
New
Hampshire.
Hampshire.
Basically, the sticks above Boston.
Yeah.
That's how
Oh,
everybody
it's
looks
pretty
at you.
up
Live in
there.
Boston, right? Yeah, no, I've lived here my whole life, and I really like it, only because it's a lot less people. I guess it's just like I have a hard time living in concentrated areas. I did for a little while when I was like living in Florida, but it was also Florida. You know, it's
Yeah.
like the people say it's the basement of the United States. It's the freaking sump pump in the basement of
What's
the United States.
yeah, that's probably true. Depends on which part of Florida too. There's a big difference between like Miami or,
Yeah,
and like
very much so.
Tallahassee or whatever. There's just like a
Yeah.
big difference.
Huge difference. Isn't that
Like, where in
isn't that
Florida were you?
interesting?
Like the Keys,
Uh, Yeah, I was near the, very say rural parts of. It's weird. I was Sanford, Orlando, Daytona,
oh,
Edgewater area. So it
yeah.
depends. Like the further south you go into like Titusville and Broward County or whatever, then it gets a little
Hey,
banjo-y. Uh,
you're up there in the redneck Riviera still. I mean, that's where it
yeah,
starts.
same thing here too.
I like Florida, but
Definitely.
yeah, I get it. Yeah. So yeah, it's not really isolated, but I like your sub pump analogy. That's funny.
Yeah. There's somebody who
Yeah.
was saying that the other day about it being the basement of the United States. I'm like, no, dude. I'd say that that's the South. And no offense to Florida, there are a lot of great things about Florida to
Oh yeah, I
visit.
go every year. I'm going for Christmas. My parents live there, so
Yeah, and
yeah.
and you said where it was near the Keys, or
No, they live like in near Tampa and Sarasota.
it's a nice area too. It's
Really
beautiful.
nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the water
So
and
it's
everything.
yeah.
But I don't know. I'm not used to I mean, I think that's anywhere for me though. Once you live in New England long enough, you get used to the fact that none of the roads make sense and that there isn't like a store nearby, near close by, and like everybody hates driving up around here because it's basically old,
It
several hundred year
snows.
old.
It's freaking cold up there. I don't know if it's cold. I mean,
Yeah, it gets cold.
it I'm spoiled. I'm in Los Angeles. It's like always
Nice all the time, right?
all the time. Yeah, all the time. I think it's
I
beautiful.
I do envy that some. I don't know that
Yeah.
I could do the more people thing. Just
Lots of
because,
people.
yeah, lots of
Tons of
people.
people. Yeah, there's no shortage of people. But there's a reason for that. It's because it's like, you know,
Hmm.
it's beautiful. Like I can look out my
Right.
window and there's not even a cloud. So,
Everybody I know that's ever gone there to visit is like, oh my God, the weather is like perfect all the time.
yeah.
And it just doesn't change. And it's like, how is that even how is that even a thing? Like we have the most extreme winters, and then like when it's like right now it is like 70 degrees outside, I
Oh, that's
think.
cool.
Um Probably humid. 60 degrees, 66 degrees, but humid and makes it feel like it's muggy and gross. Which is, you know,
Yeah, it
all
got
the time
chilly here
during the
the other
summer.
day. You just like bust out your beanie.
Yeah.
I need a beanie. It's
Hoodie
cold.
weather for real? Like I get that once a year for like a month, right before hoodie weather shows up. We get the like,
Hoodie weathers, yeah, like hoodie, beanie, that's all good. But then like up there, I get see now I love the snow, but I love to go to the snow and like strap a board to my feet and then I'm like, yeah, snow.
mm-hmm.
But then
And
if
then
I have to
after that, you're
trudge
like,
through it,
no
it's a
more.
lot. But I grew up in Canada, so I'm very familiar with the cold.
What part of Canada?
I was born in Sarnia, then we moved to Toronto, and then around middle school, well, right at middle school, we moved to Texas.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a big switch. But I did my early years were spent like trudging through big piles of snow to get to school.
Mm-hmm.
That's-
It's one of those things that like you like if you grow up, and I think you just kind of like you can adapt to it, even if you don't like it. Like you can, get used to it if you're there for a little while. I know, but some people that are like that have never been around the snow,
Mhm.
not having it. They're like, no, no, anything below
Oh,
30 degrees, not having
well,
it, you know.
there's some awesome. Like being little, my dad would like go out in the yard and spray water, and he would make an ice skating rink in our backyard.
Oh, that's
That's
awesome.
awesome,
Yeah, I didn't even
right?
think about that. That's a really good idea.
Really cool.
Make
I
your
don't
own
know. You
little
just, huh?
make your own little like kind of like little wooden planks on the side and just kind of
I
spray
don't
water in it.
even know. I could ask him how he did it, but like I mean, I'm sure it wasn't very big at all, but I remember feeling like that was amazing. And then neighborhood kids would come over and we'd just ice skate in this little, probably very small area, probably not any bigger than my room, but it just felt like a big ice skating rink. And we would just every night he'd go and like spray water, a thin layer of water over it, and they'd be good to go the next day. So that's
Reminds me
cool.
of my childhood, but mainly because we would have roads that would just eventually turn to ice because they were poorly maintained. So then we'd literally put on ice skates and try to
And skate on the street. Oh,
on the
that's
street,
cool.
see how far we could get down. But that was only like when we had those, like freezing rain, and they didn't, maintain it, because I was living on a private road.
That's really
And
fun.
yeah, it was a blast. We used to do that, and then like my buddy's brother had like his like 4x4, and we'd ride with the sleds behind it with strings and all kinds of stuff that would have made my mom freaking horrified. All the
Yeah.
stuff I don't tell my kid about.
Yeah.
Fun. But yeah, no, I mean, there's something about living, I think, in the like the snowy areas that kind of sticks with you with childhood. But man,
Yeah,
what a
well, then we
change
moved to
going from.
Texas where it's
I
like,
was gonna say
oh,
that. What a change.
brutal heat. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
brutal heat.
Houston, you're like, it's 100% humidity and it's not raining. You're like, I'm just gonna walk outside and get wet today.
I was in Florida a couple of times. I mean, in
Oh,
Texas a
Florida's
couple.
like that too. Yeah.
I was in Texas a couple of times for training when I worked for Samsung. I was a field sales manager for their appliance brand. After leaving Radio Shack, eventually I did the appliance thing for a long time.
Oh, cool.
But when I got the job with Samsung, it was a lot of traveling, do these national training meetings, so on and so forth. And yeah, I just remember going to Texas, and like, it's nice trying to get around. You find where you're going pretty easily. Everything's grid, north, south, east,
Yeah.
west. That is not like that
There's
in
like the
New
loop.
Hampshire.
Were you in Houston? Because there's the inner loop, the
I was
outer
in
loop, and then the
Dallas.
crisscrosses between.
Right. Yeah. Nope. That
Yeah,
makes
it's pretty
it's very
easy.
similar, actually. And mainly because you've got, like, get your highways on the outside, and yeah, exactly, like the grid format. And people measure things in miles, not in minutes, which is,
Yeah,
not a thing in New Hampshire. It's 20 minutes away, 15 minutes away,
right.
because 5 miles on one, on one of our main highways is one thing, but 5 miles rather, 5 miles on,
On a back street is
a
like two
back
hours.
road, or even just one that like doesn't go from point A to point B. Like, Samsung could never understand why I couldn't just drive from here to like Portland, Maine. And it's like, because there's a mountain and trees and like
Right.
or a babbling brook. You know what I mean? Like, it literally is idyllic New England, and I can't drive through the woods, unless, of course, they want to, hook it up with a helicopter. Could have done that.
I
I
would love my appliance repair person to be helicoptered in. That would be awesome. Like my fridge is broken and they're like,
Yeah. What kind of a refrigerator? I can't believe I'm asking you about your appliances. I haven't worked in appliances for like
like the
2.5 years.
brand name of it?
Yeah.
I don't know.
You know
I
how
have no
often
idea.
people, they just, nobody really pays attention to that stuff.
No, I knew what
It
it
makes sense.
was. So here's, if we're talking fridges, I had a I had a very specific space in my kitchen. And at the time when I renovated it, I bought a Viking fridge that because I had all like Viking appliances. So I had Viking fridge, but it was dinged. I bought all my
Mhm.
appliances open box.
It's the way to
And
do it.
what's that?
It's the way to do it.
Yeah, so I
Seriously.
got like high-end
Same.
appliances like discounted. And so when that fridge died its death, actually during COVID,
Oh,
I had to
what?
replace it. And I'm not gonna buy the regular priced Viking fridge because I just like that would have been ridiculous. So I bought
Right. And they
the
don't go on sale because it's UMRP. So you have to get one that's damaged.
yeah, well, I needed it kind of right then because it's my
Oh,
fridge.
yeah.
So they told me, and whatever brand I got was like another, I don't know what fridge brand it is, but more common brand. It's the
Okay.
exact same fridge, which is like not the logo on the front and a little different header at the top to make it so it doesn't look quite as blinged out, like maybe just a little bit. And I was just like, that's so jacked up. Like it's just like
Hmm.
when you buy like a pair of jeans and they sew a label on it.
That's
So,
exactly right. Is
but
it built in, or is it like a freestanding? You said Viking, so my assumption was it was built in.
I think it actually is freestanding, which is why it went bad because it should have been a built-in because it didn't
Got
vent
it.
properly. There
And
you
that would make
go.
sense. That I just
See?
figured out what it was. It's
We're
Blomberg made Viking, and then the one you got is a replacement. It's probably a Thermidor, or I. It doesn't matter. We're talking about
but we're
appliances.
talking, I could
My
run
listeners are
downstairs
like,
and
not
look.
again, dude. You're seriously talking to her about appliances, dude. What do you?
Yeah,
My listeners are like, I do this frequently. For some reason, appliances are still an interest. Don't
I
know
could
how I
run
end up
down and
back.
tell you, like, I've got some cool, I got some good appliances. A small kitchen, but
It
like,
sounds like
like
it. You said Viking on the refrigerator. I'm like, oh my god, now I kind of want to see it. But I know
you want to see the
my
fridge. You
my
want to,
listeners are like, no, don't do it, man. I feel so bad.
I,
I do that frequently. I can't help it. I want to know what people's appliances are.
that's so funny.
This
Yeah,
is
well, I mean,
awesome.
if you can probably tell, if you're like, I can tell a lot about a person by their appliances.
You'd be surprised actually how much are strong indicators, and more so when the choosing process of the appliances go. It's more so that is the indicator. Like somebody who really is unwilling to consider anything but side by side. A lot of times is very specific
Like
on.
washer and dryer, you mean?
No, I meant like a side by side refrigerator. You got the freezer on the left and the refrigerator on the right. They don't like the idea of having a French door, but ergonomically in space, like you're in and out of your refrigerator more often than you are your freezer. And having a basket really is better for organization. They got a lot of dividers and stuff. So, but changing someone's mind about something, if they're open-minded to adapting to a new idea, but then there's a lot of people that just they have what they've had and they don't want to change it because it's stepping outside of their comfort zone. What if it's the wrong choice? What if I get it and I hate it?
I
um,
hate my fridge though. I don't like it. I
really.
actually don't like my fridge. Yeah. Well, I have, yeah, I'm not like a fan of my fridge
Is
because
it
it's like,
narrow depth?
I wouldn't have gotten it if it wasn't, well, okay, so I have a small kitchen, so it's a smaller size fridge, and I have
Hmm.
another fridge in my garage for like extra stuff because I have to go to one of the gateways of hell once a month and get, the Costco run and go get like, I call it a
Yes.
gateway to hell because I don't, it's awful, but like
Yeah,
you
I can
can't not
relate.
go because then you have, like, I have to bulk certain things, right?
Hmm.
So
I
then
totally understand that.
yeah, this is the worst. Like this, if anyone's still listening, kudos to you. But
I know, right? We're talking about appliances and now Costco runs. Like
yeah, like
I
great. This is my
it's what people actually like about this is that what I've got, at least from people I interview or people that listen, is that I'm not like, so on this day, how did that make you feel? Like I try to just like talk about whatever comes up. And honestly,
yeah.
sometimes people dig this stuff. And mainly because it makes them feel not so, it's relatable,
Well, I
like
always try to quit Costco. I always try.
try to
Like I
quit
hate it.
Costco.
I
It's
try.
like
I do.
I tried,
Every
man. I went back to him again. Like that beat
Yeah,
that
no, I do. They
abuse.
give you this end of year, like you spend money there and then they compile like a big, like a check that you get in the mail. And it always freaking brings me back because I'm like, oh, I got the check and now I got to go back. And it makes sense. But I resent it. But honestly, it's been a big date event too. Like through COVID when everything shut down, like my boyfriend and I were like, let's go on a date because we're gonna go to like Costco, and it's a big deal.
Getting out of
Not
the
not
house is a big deal, though, right?
what's that?
Getting out of the
Yeah,
house
no,
in
and that was a
general.
reason to leave. Um, but yeah, so I have an extra fridge for that, and also I haven't thrown a big party in a long time, but I used to throw big parties, and so and you need the space. But my actual fridge, if we're talking appliances, not a fan. Wouldn't recommend
Yeah.
it. Got like the water thing inside the fridge instead of
Hmm.
outside, which I think not a fan. Not
Yeah,
a
you're
fan.
wasting energy when you open it up and
Yeah,
has it on the inside there. It is more
yeah.
ergonomic to also have it on the outside. But I especially if it's like a built-in style, and you have that narrow depth, like you can't put a large horizontal ice cream cake or things like that in there. that becomes a concern that
Horizontal ice cream cake.
I know
You know,
it's
so interesting fridge story since we're talking fridges. When I renovate, so this house, when I bought it, it was like in really bad disrepair, but it had an awesome fridge. It had a, what is it called? It's top, like awesome, a Sub-Zero fridge,
hmm
right? Did you just get a little hard? Because I mean,
hmm
that's
I
like
did.
what?
They are
So
kind of my favorite refrigerator out there.
they're like
So
the Ferrari of fridges. So
they
the
last
house
forever. And that's the reason why I like them, to be honest. I mean, all the other stuff's
lasts
great, but
forever.
forever.
So everything else in the house was garbage, but the fridge was awesome. So they
Yeah.
ripped out my whole house, and the contractor who I really liked was we took the fridge and put it out in the garage. And at the time, I was coming back and forth a little bit. But I said, look, I'm gonna I was not living in the house anymore. I was staying in in Nashville in Tennessee during this time. So I said, okay, it's time. They need to move it. They're going to empty it out. So I was a little disjointed. I've never really told this story before, so it's a little like touch and go.
It's all
But
right.
anyway, so they put it out in the garage, but they didn't empty out the freezer because they were keeping it running. I think they were either that or they taped it shut. I don't know. But I came back out and I was like, what the heck is that smell? They had sealed up the fridge
Oh
with
no.
everything that
Everything.
was still in the freezer, which was including get a little ready to vomit in your mouth,
Oh no.
um, pumped breast milk.
Oh no.
Yeah,
Oh
that had been
my
sitting there.
God.
Yep.
You
So
just
we
take everything and
opened,
just everything just goes in the trash. You just
well,
gloves.
we opened the freezer and it was like full of maggots. It would be like opening up
Oh, oh my God.
yeah, there was like meat in there. I don't know what was in there anymore, but like it would be like opening up, like finding a dead body in your
Yeah.
freezer is basically the equivalent. And
Or
the
just an
entire,
episode of Hoarders.
yeah,
That too.
yeah, pretty much. It was so nasty. The entire freezer, fridge, everything had to be carted off and is in some sort of I we a place where no Sub-Zero goes. Like no Sub-Zero ends up on like I don't know what's the trash mountain in the ocean. Like oh my God, I
Yep.
can't even think about it. But like that happened. And so when it came time to buy a fridge, I was like, ah,
Yeah. How are they going to
ugh.
ROHS compliance the shit out of that? Like that. They're
What
just
does
going to
that
have.
mean? ROH compliance. I don't know what that means.
I know I'm fucking nerding out, appliance nerding out. It's an electronics compliance when you recycle or throw away electronics or consumer electronics, appliances, so on and so forth. You have to follow a specific compliance. This is
Oh.
very common in California, actually, because they are, very, very stringent on environmental concerns and so on and so forth.
Yeah. No, I was super. I mean, I probably cried for my freezer because like the fridge, there's no way I was gonna buy another one of those. It just
Yeah,
came with the house. But like,
yeah.
what a, you know,
But if you ever do, I mean, they
I'm
are worth the
pining for it
investment,
now.
but they're a lot of money. And do you
Yeah,
like having that depth in the refrigerator being so narrow? Like if you need to put something large in,
it's
you know,
you're buying a
a
car.
pizza
It's
box,
like a car. This free.
definitely.
Yeah. So I guess you get the value out of it whenever you go to sell your house, and then it's like a good thing to have because
Yeah.
people like, it's awesome. But I wasn't gonna. And I guess if you
Yeah.
think about it, the fridge I bought went bad, then I had to buy another one. So I guess over time, I guess if you have but you have to pay to maintain those things too. They're
You
pretty
do. And
expensive.
I personally would never have a built in refrigerator only because I can't stand the lack of depth. Large New York pizza box kind of guy. If I want to put that whole thing in the fridge, it'd be nice to do that. And with that type of capacity, like I've got a Samsung, it's probably like 7 or 8 years now. They aren't made to last very long. They're all made to last 7 to 12 years. So my expectation of that thing is already reached its life. But for the
Well, yeah,
price that they
that's that
charge,
sucky thing now. Like all appliances are meant to like not survive because
mhm.
I have to get a new dryer soon, and I'm holding out. I'm
So
holding.
here's the thing to know. And I know people are listening to this like, oh my God. But it is for the people that haven't heard, this is helpful information, especially if you
Well,
need to
this
buy
would be
something.
a conversation with a friend, just a
hmm
phone call. Like, what do I do? What do I do? I need an appliance. So give me dryer advice because I need a new. I'm gonna need one
Uh,
pretty soon. It keeps
well,
flicking.
oh yeah, no. If it's flicking, what you want to do, I always tell people there's 2 times a year to buy appliances or any consumer electronics, companies care about how they close out their half and their quarter. That the end of the year, their quarters are important, but the half mark and the end of the year. So July and November are the two times to buy. If you can, those are the times to get anything. And if you
Why
think it's about
everything's
to
on
die,
sale?
the best sales that you're going to get out of the year
Oh,
will be either June, technically, like end mid June to early July, is going to be that, July 4th timeframe, but it's just halfway through the year and they want to close out their half strong. And
oh,
they do that by
interesting.
increasing sales. And it's the same in almost every industry. I'm pretty sure car sales operate the same way. I
Yeah.
know electronics do on cell
But
phones.
then you have to like I don't want to replace it until I need. But then they get you because if you have to replace it, you can't
Bingo.
really like.
You can't get
So
a good
you're
deal. You
saying
got to get it
preemptively
now.
replace, but that
Absolutely.
that I want to be I want to hold on to like maybe it'll make it another year. You know, like
I'm in the
maybe
same
it'll.
boat, and I worked in the industry for like 10 years. No, 10 years exactly. And I've same predicament. I have a latch going on my door on my washer. I know I'm gonna have to replace it. It's at the mark. If it's
The
past seven
whole
years and
dryer
you're
or
still
just the
having
you
issues,
have to you have to replace the whole thing, right? Because it's not worthwhile to just fix the
it's
latch,
not.
right?
I mean,
That's
I
what
might,
sucks.
because I have a little bit of knowledge when it comes to it. But you're right. No, you
It's
got the
so
guy
rude.
that's
It's
$130
so rude to the planet.
knock on the
Like,
door. Oh, you're right. Oh my God. That's
yeah.
why I left Samsung. Not to throw them under the bus, but like any company out there, they put on a big old brave face and, they, oh God, they try to make themselves look like this super progressive company. And it's like, they're not. They've got factories that they get parts from that are questionably sourced, like any company, Apple or other. But at the same time, the wastefulness is what made me never want to do anything like that again. I was a field sales manager, so pop, plastic signage all over refrigerators and stuff all the time, and then
Yeah.
they come down and I just throw all that out, or I get boxes of it and the pop thing changed. I couldn't get them out to all my stores. So what do I do with all that pop signage? Just throw it in the trash,
Oh,
unused, unopened, still in its, and so, and then what really got me was like they had these displays and they wanted me to just toss out these perfectly good TVs, 22-inch TVs. I couldn't keep them, couldn't use them. They had to be field destroyed, perfectly good TVs.
oh, that's bullshit.
Yep, they wanted me to smash all of them.
Oh no.
Yeah, they
Oh, that's
literally were going to make me smash them and put them in a
why not
dump
give
at
them to
Lowe's.
like
And
underprivileged families or something?
that's what I'm saying. I mean, literally, there's people in other parts of the world that are hydrating themselves through gray water filtered through frigging sand, man. And we're taking TVs and just brand new in the box, smashing. Just I don't. Humanity is just one big fucking shit show, and I really hate contributing to any of that waste and just
Yeah.
continuous cognitive dissonance. Everybody's just like, oh, we just keep on doing the same thing and it'll be all right. It's like, no, our kids are going to pay the choice for that. That our choices are going to fall onto them, and they're going to be the last generation to be like, thanks.
Hmm.
All of the generations
Yeah.
before.
Well, I mean, there's nothing I can do that doesn't make me a hypocrite in it because we live in it,
Same,
but it's really
same.
hard.
It
That
is.
sucks.
You're right.
Yeah.
It really is.
It's,
Because you
mm.
can't just up change your entire lifestyle. I mean, you can, but can you really? Can you like I was I was vegan for 2 years, right? And the thing that always got me with that was not necessarily how it impacted me and the adapt at me, how I had to adapt to certain things, is that it impacted other people and how they had to adapt. Because it's like I'm going out with people at a restaurant, and they always are like, well, where do you want to go? I'm fine, just go wherever. I will find something, make it work. But they're always worried about, well, what's the vegan guy, what's the vegetarian guy gonna do, what's he want to
Right.
do?
Yeah.
And to be fair, like that was the healthiest I'd been in my life, even when I wasn't eating vegan healthy. Like I was eating garbage vegan food. People don't understand, you can be fat and vegan, it's not hard. Oreos are vegan, like um
Yeah, it's
it's
true.
pretty straight, just awful
Pasta,
garbage.
like,
Yeah. Oh
yeah.
yeah. There's totally unhealthy foods. And yeah, most people that are actually vegan statistically are unhealthy and obese.
Oh, that's I
People
didn't know
don't know that.
that.
Statistically, most vegans are obese. And I hate saying that because I get all kinds of heat for that. But look, I was one. Like I understand. I think it's shitty what we do and how we treat animals.
I didn't know there was like, I guess if you're eating like just potatoes,
Well,
French fries.
it's the that's it. The French fries and all these guilty pleasure foods. There's a lot of people out there, but you're going to see I hate making it like this statistic because it is an accurate statistic. People who
Mm.
are consistently vegan don't eat the full whole
I'm probably
plant-based
missing
diets.
something in the diet. Yeah. I don't know. I don't eat very much meat anymore, but hardly
I
ever.
I
But
don't I try
eggs
not
and
to.
milk and stuff, that's really hard to stay away from, all like cheese and
That's me right there. You
yeah.
hit the nail on the head. I can avoid meat. I don't have a problem with that. It's the eggs and cheese that I
Yeah.
struggle
And
with.
every
I
now and
love
then like I'll have some meat too because it's there and
fried
I don't know.
chicken. You kidding me? Fried
Fried
chicken and
chicken.
bacon. Fucking, do you know how? Oh my god! After not eating, I don't feel guilty. Like people, you freaking hypocrite. No, I fucking own it. Like I eat it now. Like, and I don't feel great about it, and I still
But like, oh,
accept.
like bacon. Is that what you're going to?
Oh,
It's
I love
delicious.
bacon. Fucking
Yeah.
bacon tastes amazing. Like
Yeah.
anybody's going to deny that hasn't had bacon, or they're lying to
Yeah.
themselves.
We're like one chromosome or something. I was reading like is it we're just like really close to being genetically related to pigs.
Yes, we are actually
So like
incredible. I think we're closer genetically to them than we are chimpanzees,
yeah.
and
Nope.
that's
So like
amazing.
kind of
They're
yeah.
super intelligent animals too. Like
Yeah.
very, very
But
intelligent.
they're yummy. I guess we would be too because we're so
That's it.
close to.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I think I people have said that like we like it's weird, but I got a lot of friends with weird, you know, cool goth kids in high school. No, just kidding. Uh, the ones that are like human beings would taste a lot like pork. Like that's what long pork. Ugh, so
Yeah, I've
gross.
heard that. I've
Stephen
heard
King.
that.
Makes me think of the Dark Tower specifically. The thing that I always point out, like, yeah, but pigs don't eat like
Excuse me.
Tylenol and like cigarettes and trans fats. Like we would probably taste like if you took pork and dipped it in Tylenol water, you know what I mean? It chemically, ugh,
Oh,
you
pigs
know,
eat everything. Pigs,
that's
I
true.
watched a pig eat plastic bottles in India
That's
once. Just
true.
eating
But you
like
can
plastic
tell
and
the low grade pork tastes like it's kind of a chemically
ugh.
tingy taste to it. I think that would probably, they excrete it through their meat is really gross if you think about it. When you really break it down, like you think about it, you're eating another animal's flesh to stay alive, and you don't have to. Like
Well,
we
we're
could live without
animals.
it. I
We
know.
got those teeth. But yeah, I don't eat much
I
of it
know.
either.
I
I
know.
try
And
to.
I love bacon. That's where I come back to, man. Bacon. I mean, I'm trying desperately to lose weight. That's my big thing. Is that I need to lose weight. My ankles are not going to get better without me losing weight, and I've so far done pretty well. Like I've got lost, almost 100 pounds, and
What? You were 100 pounds
two.
heavier than you are now?
Yeah.
Oh,
I was. Let's see. At one point, I was not 100. Yeah, just under 100 pounds. So I was
wow.
340 at one point,
Oh,
and now
wow. I
I'm
can't
down
tell
to
what you
about
look
like
like.
250. Um, so
You don't, yeah, I
I'm
can't.
a big guy, but I hide it well. I've always held it kind of well,
Wow.
except for man boobs and the fat guy slouch forward. I try to change the posture, so fat guys tend to have bad posture. They don't realize that, but it's bad for your back to kind of slunch over. But I've been big my entire life, so I you know the one thing I didn't do was have a great relationship with like exercise and stuff until I was older. I didn't even try to make any type of major lifestyle changes. And now I got a kid. Like I have to do that. Like as hard as it is, and I'm still struggling, I'm not going to stop trying. Um, just because, especially now he's only got me, and it's one of those, tough things to factor in. But I don't know.
Well, you're
I guess
doing
I
it.
went
Like
on a
it
tangent.
sounds to me like you've dropped 100 pounds. You're on whatever you're doing,
A
just
lot of
keep
that has
doing
to
it.
do with the fasting though, and I started fasting. I had some stomach issues. I don't go into too much of it. But anyway, it eventually led to me fasting, and that has been the most successful for me to lose weight, actually. And I would suggest it to anybody.
You do like
I felt
intermittent
better.
fasting?
Yeah, every day. Like, well, sometimes I don't and I slip, but I try not to eat pretty much all day except for like a 6-hour window, and I'll eat literally whatever I want during that time. I mean, I usually don't because my appetite's kind of changed and whatnot. But for the most part, yeah, it works really well. If you, and I mean, there's times where I've, heavy caloric intake, but because your body, after I think it's like 8 hours, you start burning whatever residual fat
It's
you've
like in
already
your
burnt in
liver
your
and stuff.
liver. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I couldn't think of the organ, so
Yeah. No, I
you
know a lot
nailed
about this
it.
stuff. But the biggest thing you do is change your mind, and like then everything in
That's the hard part.
your body will follow. And that's cool. Well, congratulations.
Well,
That's really
thanks.
good.
I mean, I feel positive. I hit some walls here and there, but I appreciate it. It's good to get some, validation every now and then from somebody, because it's like when you have a kid and it's just you and the kids all the time, it's like, it's like, that's great, Dad. He's like, let me show you my Minecraft thing,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is great. I mean,
They're,
kids,
everyone's born a narcissist. You just hope to outgrow it to a point or learn to hide it.
I've never really thought about it like that, but you're right. I mean, when you're
Yeah.
young, it's all about you, and you're thinking about,
Well, it
you
has
know,
to be.
right.
There's a survival skill. But speaking of kids, I have to. My
Oh
son,
yeah, you gotta
your
get
son was
running. Oh my
sick. My
God, I
son's
got
home.
away from me. It's almost 2:30
I
right
gotta
now. So
go. But
no,
this
no,
has
it's okay.
been like the conversation
Awesome.
about the refrigerators was riveting.
I
Um,
know.
and I'm
Real
sure,
engaging topics. We didn't even get to go
yeah,
into aliens. I not as much
yeah,
as I'd like to get your
aliens
perspective, but another time.
aliens, and maybe they're traveling in fridges that were disposed. Maybe that's
That's
where our
it.
appliances go, is to spaceship
Well,
parts.
maybe that's why they're here. They like our
Hmm.
our fridge designs.
Yeah, my fancy fridge is now a spaceship, and I don't feel so bad about it. So
They're repurposing our old Sub-Zeros. And
you'd hope so.
well, I'd love to do this again soon. For the listeners out there, our co-host wasn't able to join us today for this one, but she should be here on the next episode. And I definitely it went smooth, even though we were lacking a co-host today. I
Hmm.
appreciate your time, and sorry for keeping you.
Oh no, thanks for having me, and
No, it was a
keep it going.
blast. Yeah, hey,
Keep
I
that
could
going.
seriously
Keep your
talk to
weight.
you all day about
I
this
know.
stuff, about
Yeah, we have
appliances.
a lot of stuff in common, it seems.
Well, I can't thank you enough, and I again thank the listeners out there as always for sticking around. I apologize; it's been a little while since I've been able to get an episode up, but as always, we really emphasize being kind to your fellow person and the usual abstract.
Abstract Transmissions.